Hi everyone, my name is Tanya, and today I'm sharing a video that I made for Nathalie Kalbach's Creative Squad. Today I'll be working with two stamps, one of Nathalie's older designs called Marks, and her new stamp set from Rubber Moon Designs. They're called Maiko and Millie, and I Can, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So I'm taking some mini gel plates by Jelly Arts and I'm placing it on an acrylic block because I'm going to be making some marks on it and stamping it down. So I'm bringing out a variety of acrylic paints and deciding that I want to do some marks with the stamps as well as some mini tools by Jelly Arts as well. So I've just applied a green paint and I'm creating some marks with the mini tools, and I've got enough paint on my gel plate to do two sets of prints, so a ghost print and a solid print. And I'm also using the mark stamp to make impressions on the jelly plate, and I'm using the paint that's transferred onto the stamps onto the art journal page as well. And I'm going to continue using a variety of the lovely stamps from this set, and I'm going to continue adding colors to the art journal page. This is like a traveler's notebook size style page, and I've punched some holes with a happy planner punch so that I can put it in my disc bound art journal. I found that I'm really enjoying this sort of format at the moment. So in between I'm trying to clean my brayer as much as I can, and you'll see ahead that I haven't cleaned it, and I'll see how I can fix it as well. So I'm still taking the Marks stamp, and I really love these crosses, and I am stamping it down with some archival ink in jet black, and on a new piece of paper, cardstock, sorry, I am taking some more of that paint, putting it down on that square mini gel plate and using it to create another background. So I'm using like reds and yellows and blues so that it would stand out more against the background that I used. And over here you can see that I didn't clean my brayer properly, so I'm getting slightly muddier colors, but in the end I was quite happy with the result. So here I'm adding some blues and adding some more texture and additional interest with the stamps. So I am thoroughly drying each layer in between, and again I'm using the mark stamp to stamp down with archival ink some additional sort of images around the page to add more movement and interest. Now the mark stamp comes with a stencil, so I wanted to use that as well because I really love that pattern. So I'm taking a sponge and I am sponging some of that blue paint that I used earlier through the stencil to add some more dimension. And of course, be sure to dry each layer in between. Now I'm going to be using Millie from the Rubber Moon Stamps set, and I am using my Misty stamping tool to stamp down her on that second background that I made. Now I'm going to be stamping her twice because I want to actually use that second pattern page I made as the dress part for Millie, and I'm stamping her again on a white piece of cardstock. Again, I'm using archival ink, and I'm just making sure that I have a nice crisp image, and I'm trying not to touch the paper too much because archival ink dries very slowly, so you need to make sure that you dry in between. So now I'm cutting Millie's dress out, and you might need to, because it's the background does have a lot going on, you might need to angle it from side to side to find where you're making the right cut. And now I am fussy cutting Millie out as well, and I'm just trying to get as much of the outline, the main outlines as possible. So now I've cut the dress out as well, and I'm just layering her dress on top of the cutout to make sure that everything lines up. And there was some bits in between that I wanted to cut out with a craft knife because I wanted as much of the background to show as possible, and I wanted her to blend into the background. So now here's the original art journal background page that I made, and I am laying her on top just to see how she looks, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. So I'm gluing the dress down onto Millie, and at this point I realized that I should have colored her first. So I'm taking out my Polychromos Faber-Castell pencils, which I absolutely adore, and I'm going to do some coloring in. So I'm going to color in her face, and I'm going to add some details and highlights on some of her dress as well. So now I'm starting to add some shading to her skin. So I'm adding shadows to where you would naturally find shadows on a face, around the hairline, around the jawline, and some shadowing around the neck. I'm coloring her hair in. I'm adding some extra details as well because I lost some of her features under all the pencil coloring. So I'm just adding in some eyes and a hint of a mouth, and I'm putting in on some blush as well. And I like to use the white pencil as a blender for the Polychromos. I just adore how beautifully they blend. So I'm continuing to color in the rest of her wherever her skin is showing, and adding darker spots, adding more shade where there are shadows. So I'm just working on her face as well, just adding some more shading. So at this point I'm just laying her on the page just to see what it looks like. And I thought, I was originally going to fussy cut out her shoes, but then I thought it would just be easier to just paint them in. And besides, I felt like she needed some red shoes as well. She looked like the kind of girl who would wear red shoes. So I'm adding some additional dots here and there as well. I decided to bring in some a very pale yellow just to add a few more, like another dimension to the coloring. So now I am sticking her down onto my page. And making sure that everything's glued down properly. And at this point I'm taking a graphite pencil and adding some shading around the edges and around Millie for some additional interest. And I'm also adding some art journaling as well. Now off camera, I also heat emboss the Actually I Can with Wow Superfine White Embossing Powder to help it stand out against the background. Here's some close-up details of the art journal page. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Please leave me any questions if you have on the blog. And thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me today. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye!